The rain had been falling for 3 days straight. Taeho pulled his thin jacket tighter as he walked along the muddy path beside the Nakdong River. The water rushed past him, brown and angry from all the rain. It was much higher than usual, almost reaching the old stone bridge his grandmother used to cross. His stomach growled loudly. The small bag of rice he had left would only last 2 more days. After that, he would have to find food somewhere else. The nearby villages would not help him. They never did. Ever since his parents died in that alien attack 20 years ago, people said his family was cursed. They said bad luck followed him wherever he went. Taeho did not believe in curses, but he was tired of being alone. His grandmother had been the only person who cared about him. When she died last winter, he became truly alone in the world. At 17, he had to take care of himself in the small mountain house she had left him. The sound of the river was getting louder. Taeho looked up and saw that the water was almost touching the bottom of the wooden bridge ahead. If it rained much more, the bridge would be underwater. He needed to find food quickly before he got trapped on this side of the river. He was looking for wild mushrooms and herbs when he heard a strange sound. It was not like anything he had heard before. It sounded like music, but also like someone in pain. The sound came from near the riverbank, where some large rocks had fallen during the storm. Taeho moved closer, being careful not to slip on the wet ground. The sound got stronger. It was definitely coming from the pile of rocks and broken trees that had washed up against the bank. He climbed over a fallen log and looked down. What he saw made him freeze with fear. There was a creature trapped under a heavy branch and several rocks. But this was not any animal he knew. The creature was huge, almost twice as tall as Taeho, even lying down. Its skin was a beautiful blue color that seemed to glow softly in the gray light. Strange patterns of light moved slowly across its body, like waves on water. This was an alien. A real alien. Taeho had heard stories about aliens his whole life. Everyone knew they existed. The government had announced it 20 years ago after the first contact. But most people had never seen one. The aliens usually stayed away from humans, and humans stayed away from aliens. The few times they met, there was usually fighting. The creature made that musical sound again, but weaker now. Its eyes opened and looked directly at Taeho. They were large and silver, like mirrors. Taeho could see intelligence in those eyes and something else, pain, fear. The creature was suffering. Taeho took a step back. Every story he had ever heard told him to run away. Aliens were dangerous. They had killed his parents. They had powerful weapons and strange abilities. If the government found out he had seen one, they would ask him many questions. If the villagers found out, they would be even more afraid of him. But the creature made that sound again, and Taeho could not move away. It sounded like crying, like someone asking for help. The water was rising. Soon it would reach the creature. If Taeho did nothing, the alien would drown. Even if it was dangerous, even if it might hurt him, Taeho could not watch any living thing die when he could help. He had always been different from other people. His grandmother used to say he felt too much, cared too much. Maybe that was why he was alone. But he could not change who he was. Taeho moved closer to the trapped creature. Up close, he could see it was badly hurt. Purple liquid that might be blood came from cuts on its arms and legs. One of its legs was bent in a way that looked very painful. The heavy branch across its chest made it hard for the creature to breathe. When Taeho got close, the lights on the creature's skin changed color. They went from soft blue to bright red. The creature tried to move away, but it was trapped. It was afraid of him, just like he was afraid of it. "It's okay," Taeho said softly, the way his grandmother used to talk to scared animals. "I want to help you." The creature did not understand his words, but something in his voice seemed to calm it. The red light slowly changed back to blue. The creature watched him carefully, ready to fight if it had to, but not attacking. Taeho looked at the heavy branch. It was too big for him to lift alone, but maybe he could move it. He had rope in his bag, and there were other branches he could use as levers. His grandmother had taught him how to move heavy things on the farm using simple tools. The water was getting closer. He had to work fast. First, he tied his rope around the heavy branch. Then he found a strong piece of wood to use as a lever. He put the wood under the branch and pushed down with all his strength. The branch moved a little, but not enough. The creature watched everything he did. Slowly, it began to help. It pushed against the rocks with its good arm while Taeho worked with the lever. Together, they moved the branch just enough for the creature to pull its chest free. but its leg was still trapped under a large rock. The water was now only a few feet away. They were running out of time. Teho tried to move the rock, but it was too heavy. The creature tried to help, but its injured leg could not push hard enough. They needed a different plan. Teho looked around and saw his small wooden cart nearby. He used it to carry things from the forest back to his house. If he could get the cart under the rock, maybe he could use it to lift the stone. He pulled the cart through the mud and positioned it carefully. Then he and the creature worked together to roll the rock onto the cart. It was hard work, and both of them were breathing heavily when they finished. Finally, the creature was free. But now the water was almost at their feet. They had to get to higher ground immediately. The creature tried to stand, but its injured leg would not hold its weight. It would have to lean on Teho to walk. Teho was much smaller, but he was strong from years of farm work. Together, they moved slowly away from the rising water. The creature's arm around Teho's shoulders was heavy, but Teho did not give up. Step by step, they climbed up the muddy bank to safety. When they reached dry ground, both of them collapsed from exhaustion. The creature looked at Teho with its silver eyes. The lights on its skin pulsed in a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. Somehow, Teho felt that the creature was saying thank you. As the rain continued to fall around them, boy and alien rested side by side. Neither knew that this moment would change both their lives forever. The alien was shivering. Teho had never seen an alien shiver before, but it looked just like when people got cold. The creature's blue skin had turned a pale gray color, and the light patterns moved very slowly across its body. They were both soaked from the rain. Teho's small jacket was not enough to keep either of them warm. He needed to get the alien to his house, but that meant crossing the river. The bridge was now underwater, and the current was too strong to swim across. The alien tried to stand again, but fell back down with a sound of pain. Its leg was definitely broken. Purple blood still came from the cuts on its arms. Without help, the creature would not survive the night. Teho looked at his small wooden cart. It had helped them move the rock, but it was not big enough to carry the alien across the river. He needed to build something larger, something that could float. Near the riverbank, he found several pieces of wood that had washed up in the storm. Some were from broken fences, others from trees. If he tied them together, he might be able to make a raft. The alien watched him work. Its silver eyes followed every movement as Teho gathered wood and rope. When Teho started tying the pieces together, the alien made soft musical sounds. Teho thought it might be trying to communicate. "I'm making a boat," Teho said, pointing to the river, "to get you across." The alien looked at the river, then back at Teho. The lights on its skin changed to a worried yellow color. It pointed at the fast-moving water and shook its head. Even hurt and scared, the alien was trying to warn him about the danger. But Teho had made up his mind. He could not leave the alien here to die. His grandmother had always said that helping others was the most important thing a person could do. It did not matter if the person was different or strange. It took him 2 hours to build the raft. It was not pretty, but it looked strong enough to hold both of them. The alien helped as much as it could, holding pieces of wood while Teho tied them together. Working together made the job easier. When the raft was finished, Teho helped the alien move onto it. The creature was very heavy, and getting it to the water's edge was hard work. By the time they were ready to cross, both of them were exhausted. The alien looked scared. It held onto the sides of the raft with its good hand and made worried sounds. Teho felt scared too, but he tried not to show it. If he looked afraid, the alien would be even more frightened. "Don't worry," he said gently. "I've crossed this river many times." That was true, but never during a flood and never on a homemade raft. The water was moving much faster than usual. Pieces of trees and debris rushed past them. One mistake could kill them both. Teho pushed the raft into the water and jumped on. Immediately, the current grabbed them and pulled them downstream. He had a long stick to steer with, but the water was too strong. They were moving much faster than he had planned. The alien grabbed Teho's arm. Its grip was firm but not painful. The lights on its skin pulsed rapidly, and it pointed ahead. Teho looked where it was pointing and saw a large tree floating toward them. If it hit their raft, they would both fall into the water. Teho pushed hard with his stick, trying to steer away from the tree. The alien helped by leaning its weight to one side. Together, they managed to avoid the collision, but the raft spun around in the current. Now they were facing backward, and Teho could not see where they were going. The alien pointed over Teho's shoulder. Another danger was coming, a line of rocks that stuck up from the water. They were heading straight for them. Tae-ho tried to turn the raft around, but it was too late. They hit the rocks with a loud crash. The wooden pieces that held the raft together began to break apart. Water rushed onto the raft through the cracks. The alien looked at Tae-ho with wide, frightened eyes. It could not swim with its broken leg. If the raft fell apart completely, it would drown. Without thinking, Tae-ho jumped into the cold water. The current immediately tried to pull him away, but he grabbed onto the rocks and held on tight. Then he reached for the alien. "Come on," he shouted over the noise of the rushing water. "I'll help you." The alien did not understand his words, but it understood what he meant. Slowly, carefully, it moved from the breaking raft to Tae-ho's outstretched arms. The moment it touched the water, Tae-ho felt how heavy it was. The alien's weight pushed him down and water went over his head. For a moment, Tae-ho thought they would both drown. The alien was too heavy and the current was too strong. But then he felt the alien's arm go around his shoulders, trying to help hold them both up. They were working together again. Somehow, Tae-ho found the strength to swim. He could not see the other side of the river through the rain and spray, but he knew it was there. One stroke at a time, he pulled them both through the water. The alien helped by kicking with its good leg, even though it must have been very painful. The current carried them far downstream from where they had started. When Tae-ho's feet finally touched the bottom on the other side, they were both nearly unconscious from cold and exhaustion. They crawled up onto the muddy bank and lay there breathing heavily. Tae-ho was so cold he could not stop shaking. His teeth clicked together and his fingers were numb. But the alien looked worse. Its skin was almost white now, and the light patterns had nearly stopped moving. Tae-ho took off his jacket and put it around the alien's shoulders. It was small for the creature, but it was better than nothing. The alien looked surprised by this gesture. It touched the jacket gently, then looked at Tae-ho with something like wonder in its silver eyes. From his bag, Tae-ho pulled out a small piece of dried fish, part of his emergency food supply. He broke it in half and offered part to the alien. The creature sniffed the fish carefully, then ate it slowly. It made a soft humming sound that might have meant, "Thank you." They rested by the river until Tae-ho felt strong enough to walk. His house was still a mile away up a steep mountain path. Getting there with an injured alien would not be easy, but they had already done the hardest part. They had crossed the river together. As they helped each other up the muddy bank, Tae-ho noticed something strange. The alien's skin was starting to glow more brightly, and the light patterns were moving in rhythm with his own heartbeat. He did not know what it meant, but it felt important. Behind them, the river continued to rise, swallowing the place where they had started their journey. If they had waited even one more hour, it would have been too late to cross at all. Looking back, Tae-ho realized that saving the alien had also saved himself. If he had stayed on the other side of the river, he would have been trapped there with no food and no way to get home. Sometimes helping others was the same as helping yourself. Getting the alien to his house took most of the night. The creature was heavy, and its broken leg made walking very difficult. They had to stop many times to rest. By the time they reached Tae-ho's small wooden house on the mountainside, both of them could barely stand. Tae-ho helped the alien sit down by his fireplace. The creature looked around the simple room with curiosity. There was not much to see, just a sleeping mat, some cooking pots, and shelves with dried herbs and vegetables. But it was warm and dry, which was what they both needed most. The alien's wounds needed attention. Tae-ho had learned about healing from his grandmother, who used plants and herbs to treat sick animals. He hoped the same methods would work on an alien. He made a fire and heated water in his largest pot. Then he gathered clean cloths and some of the healing herbs his grandmother had taught him about. The alien watched everything he did with its silver eyes, but it did not try to stop him. When Tae-ho began cleaning the cuts on the alien's arms, the creature made soft musical sounds. Its skin felt different from human skin, warmer and smoother. The purple blood washed away easily, and underneath the cuts did not look as bad as Tae-ho had thought. The broken leg was harder to treat. Tae-ho found 2 straight pieces of wood and tied them around the leg to keep it still. The alien understood what he was doing and held very still, even though it was clearly painful. When Tae-ho finished, the alien reached into a fold in its skin that Tae-ho had not noticed before. It pulled out a small crystal about the size of a chicken egg. The crystal glowed with the same soft blue light as the alien's skin. The alien held the crystal out to Teho. When Teho did not take it right away, the alien gently took his hand and placed the crystal in his palm. It was warm and seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. "Thank you," Teho said, even though he did not know what the crystal was for. The alien made a complex series of musical sounds and touched its chest, then pointed at Teho. Somehow Teho understood that the alien was telling him its name. The sounds were too complicated for Teho to repeat, but they reminded him of gentle waves, so he decided to call the alien Velmok in his mind. Teho pointed to himself. "Teho," he said clearly. Velmok tried to repeat the name, but alien vocal cords could not make the same sounds humans made. Instead, it created a musical pattern that somehow felt like his name. Teho smiled and nodded. They slept that night by the warm fire. Teho gave Velmok his sleeping mat and used old blankets for himself. When he woke up in the morning, he found that Velmok's leg looked much better. The swelling had gone down and the alien could put some weight on it. More surprisingly, Teho felt better too. He had more energy than usual, and the small cuts on his hands from building the raft had healed completely. The crystal in his pocket felt warm whenever he touched it. For 3 days they lived together peacefully. Velmok could not walk very far, but its injuries were healing quickly. During the day they communicated through gestures and sounds. Teho learned that Velmok was very old and very important among its people. Velmok learned that Teho lived alone and took care of himself. On the 4th day, everything changed. Teho was coming back from gathering firewood when he saw strange lights in the sky. 3 dark shapes flew over his house without making any sound. They looked like the government aircraft he sometimes saw, but different, more advanced. When he got back to the house, Velmok was standing outside looking up at the sky. The lights on its skin were flashing in rapid patterns. It was clearly excited about something. The alien pointed up and made urgent musical sounds. Then it pointed at itself and made the same sounds it had made when telling Teho its name. Teho understood. Velmok's people had come looking for it. That afternoon, real government aircraft arrived. 3 black helicopters landed in the field below Teho's house, and soldiers in uniform climbed out. They walked up the mountain path with serious expressions on their faces. Teho told Velmok to hide in the back room. He did not know if the soldiers were friendly or dangerous, but he wanted to protect his new friend. The leader of the soldiers was a woman in her 40s with short black hair and hard eyes. She wore the uniform of a government agent and had a badge that said Director Park. "Teho Kim?" she asked, reading from a tablet computer. "Yes," Teho answered. "We need to talk to you about unusual activity in this area. Our satellites detected energy signatures that match alien technology." "Have you seen anything strange recently?" Teho thought quickly. If he told the truth, they would take Velmok away. They might hurt the alien or use it for experiments, but if he lied, they might find Velmok anyway. "I saw some lights in the sky," he said carefully, "but I don't know what they were." Director Park studied his face. "Mr. Kim, lying to government agents is a serious crime. We have evidence that alien technology was used in this area. We also know that someone sent a signal using that technology. The signal came from this house." Teho's heart sank. The crystal in his pocket felt very warm now, almost hot. Without knowing it, he had somehow sent a signal to Velmok's people. "We're going to search your house," Director Park said. "If you're hiding anything, it would be better to tell us now." Before Teho could answer, there was a sound like music from inside the house. Velmok appeared in the doorway, walking slowly but steadily. Its leg was almost completely healed. The soldiers raised their weapons immediately, but Director Park held up her hand to stop them. She stared at Velmok with amazement and fear. "So you are harboring an alien," she said to Teho. "Do you have any idea how dangerous this is? How many laws you've broken?" "It was hurt," Teho said simply. "I helped it." "It?" Director Park snapped. "These creatures are extremely dangerous. They have killed humans before. This one could have killed you at any time." Velmok moved slowly toward Teho, ignoring the soldier's weapons. It stood beside him and placed one large hand gently on his shoulder. The gesture was protective, not threatening. "It saved my life," Teho said. "We saved each other." Director Park looked back and forth between them. She seemed confused by what she was seeing. This was not how human-alien encounters were supposed to work. "You're both coming with us," she said finally. "There are people who need to talk to you. Important people." As the soldiers prepared to take them away, Taeho looked up at the sky. More lights were appearing. Not government aircraft this time, but alien ships. Velmok's people were coming, and they looked like they were in a hurry. Taeho had a feeling that his quiet life on the mountain was over forever. But when he looked at Velmok and saw the gratitude and friendship in those silver eyes, he did not regret anything he had done. Some things were more important than safety or following rules. Some things were worth any risk. The alien ships landed in the field like giant silver flowers opening their petals. They made no sound, but the air around them shimmered with heat. Taeho counted 5 ships, each one larger than any aircraft he had ever seen. Director Park was speaking rapidly into her radio, calling for backup. Her soldiers kept their weapons pointed at Velmok, but they looked nervous. Everyone knew that alien technology was far more advanced than human weapons. From the largest ship, a group of aliens emerged. They were all tall and blue-skinned like Velmok, but their light patterns were different. Some had gold lights mixed with the blue, others had silver. One alien in the center had lights that changed colors constantly, like a rainbow moving across its skin. This alien stepped forward and made complex musical sounds toward Velmok. Velmok responded with its own musical patterns, and suddenly all the aliens turned to look at Taeho. Their silver eyes studied him with intense curiosity. "What are they saying?" Director Park demanded. Before anyone could answer, the rainbow-lit alien began to speak. But this time the sounds came out as human words, spoken in perfect Korean. "We are here for Elder Velmok," the alien said, "and for the bridgewalker who saved him." "Bridgewalker?" Director Park looked confused. "What does that mean?" The alien ignored her and walked directly to Taeho. It stopped a few feet away and began to glow more brightly. When it spoke again, its voice was filled with something that sounded like respect. "You are Taeho, the one who carried Elder Velmok across dangerous waters. You touched him with healing hands. You gave him warmth when he was cold, food when he was hungry. You risked your life for one you had never met." Taeho felt embarrassed by all the attention. "I just helped someone who needed help. Anyone would have done the same." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "No, young bridgewalker. Most would not. Even among our own people, few would risk so much for a stranger. What you did was extraordinary." More aliens had gathered around them now. They all seemed to be listening carefully to every word. Velmok moved closer to Taeho, and the lights on its skin pulsed in a proud pattern. "My name is Keithnal," the rainbow alien continued. "I am a speaker for the Theran people. Elder Velmok has told us everything that happened. How you freed him from the rocks, how you built a boat to carry him across the flood, how you cared for his wounds and shared your food." Director Park stepped forward. "This is all very interesting, but this human has broken several laws. He must come with us for questioning." Keithnal turned its attention to her for the first time. When it spoke, its voice was polite but firm. "The bridgewalker will come with us." "Absolutely not," Director Park said. "He's a human citizen. You have no authority over him." "Elder Velmok is the most revered teacher of our people," Keithnal explained. "He has lived for over 800 of your years. He has guided our civilization through wars, disasters, and the difficult transition to peace. His wisdom is beyond measure." The speaker's lights grew brighter as it continued. "In our culture, to touch an elder without permission is forbidden. But to touch an elder in order to save his life, to risk everything for his welfare, this is the highest honor. It means the person has a pure heart and great courage." Taeho felt his face getting red. "I didn't know any of that. I just saw someone who needed help." "Exactly," Keithnal said. "You did not help him because of who he was. You helped him because it was right. This makes your actions even more meaningful." Director Park was looking back and forth between the aliens and Taeho with growing alarm. "What exactly are you saying?" Keithnal turned to face her directly. "Elder Velmok has no children. According to our laws, he may choose an heir from anyone who has proven themselves worthy through their actions. He wishes to adopt the bridgewalker as his son." The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of Director Park's radio crackling with urgent messages from her superiors. More government vehicles were racing toward them across the fields. "Adopt him," Director Park said faintly. "You mean take him away from Earth?" "Not take," Keithnal corrected. "Offer. The choice must be freely made. The bridgewalker may accept our offer and learn the ways of the Theran people. He would be given all the rights and honors of an elder's heir. Or he may refuse, and we will respect his decision." Taeho felt dizzy. A few days ago, he had been a lonely orphan with no family and no future. Now aliens were offering to adopt him and give him a position of honor in their society. What would that mean? He asked quietly. If I said yes? Elder Velmok spoke for the first time since his people had arrived. His words came through a small device that translated them into Korean. You would learn our language, our history, our sciences. You would travel to worlds beyond Earth and see wonders beyond imagination. You would help guide our people as they explore the universe. And someday, when I am gone, you would take my place as an elder. But you would also become one of them, Director Park said urgently. You would not be human anymore. Kethnal's lights flashed with something that might have been anger. He would remain exactly what he is. We do not change people. We value them for who they are. The Bridgewalker's humanity is what makes him special to us. More government aircraft were arriving now. Soldiers surrounded the area, but they kept their distance from the alien ships. Everyone was waiting to see what Taeho would decide. Taeho looked around at all the faces watching him, human and alien. A week ago, nobody had cared what happened to him. Now his decision seemed to matter to everyone. Can I think about it? He asked. Of course, Kethnal said. This is not a choice to make quickly. But know this, if you accept, you will not be alone anymore. You will have a family that values you, teachers who will help you grow, and a purpose that will last your lifetime. Elder Velmok approached Taeho slowly. The old alien reached out and gently touched Taeho's hand. When their skin made contact, Taeho felt a warmth spread through his body. He saw images in his mind. Beautiful alien cities, vast libraries full of knowledge, stars and planets he had never imagined. But he also saw something else. He saw himself as others saw him, not as a cursed orphan or a lonely outcast, but as someone brave and kind and worthy of respect. For the first time in his life, he saw himself through the eyes of people who truly valued him. I need to understand something, Taeho said slowly. If I go with you, would I ever see Earth again? Would I be able to help other humans? Kethnal's lights brightened. The Bridgewalker asked wise questions. Yes, you would return to Earth often. One of an elder's duties is to maintain peaceful relationships between peoples. You would be a bridge between our species, helping both sides understand each other. Taeho nodded slowly. The idea felt right somehow. He had always been caught between worlds, too different for the humans around him, but too human to truly belong anywhere else. Maybe being a bridge between species was exactly what he was meant to do. Director Park was speaking urgently into her radio again. Yes, sir. They want to adopt him. No, sir, I don't think we can stop them. They have 5 ships and technology we don't understand. Taeho made his decision. I accept, Taeho said quietly. The words seemed to echo in the sudden silence. Director Park stared at him in shock. The human soldiers looked confused and worried. But the aliens began to glow more brightly, and musical sounds filled the air, sounds of celebration and joy. Elder Velmok moved closer to Taeho and placed both hands on his shoulders. The lights on the old alien's skin pulsed in a slow, steady rhythm that somehow felt like a heartbeat. When Velmok spoke through his translator, his voice was warm with emotion. You honor me by accepting, my son, but this is not goodbye to your old life. It is the beginning of something larger. Kethnal stepped forward. The Bridgewalker has chosen wisely. But before we celebrate, there are arrangements to make. Your government officials will want to discuss this historic moment. Over the next several hours, more people arrived. Government ministers came from Seoul. Military leaders flew in from around the world. Scientists and diplomats gathered to witness something that had never happened before. A human being officially adopted into an alien family. But Taeho noticed something else happening. The crystal in his pocket had been glowing steadily since the alien ships arrived. Now other people were noticing it too. When Director Park saw the light through his jacket, she asked him about it. Taeho pulled out the crystal and held it up. It pulsed with warm blue light, and somehow everyone understood that it was more than just a gift. It was a symbol of the connection between him and Velmok, between humans and Thyrans. This crystal contains knowledge, Kethnal explained to the gathering crowd. Medical knowledge that could help heal many human diseases. Agricultural techniques that could feed millions. Technology that could clean your air and water. Elder Velmok gave it to the Bridgewalker as a sign of trust. One of the government scientists stepped forward eagerly. We would very much like to study this technology, and you shall, Kethnal said. but not by taking it from the bridgewalker. The knowledge will be shared freely, as a gift from our people to yours. This is how alliances begin, with generosity and trust. Over the following days, everything moved very quickly. A formal ceremony was held where Elder Velmok officially adopted Teho according to Thyran law. Teho learned that this made him not just Velmok's heir, but also an ambassador between the two species. The first thing Teho did with his new position was ask to return to his village. When he arrived, no longer alone but accompanied by both human officials and alien friends, the people who had shunned him for so long looked at him with wonder and fear. "I want to help," he told the village leader. "I want to bring the benefits of Thyran knowledge to the people who need it most." The village had been struggling with a disease that affected their rice crops. Using Thyran medical technology, Teho was able to cure the disease in a single day. The villagers who had once called him cursed now called him blessed. But Teho did not stop there. Working with both human scientists and Thyran teachers, he established a school where children could learn about both cultures. Human students learned about alien science and philosophy. Thyran young people learned about human creativity and determination. The crystal Elder Velmok had given him became the basis for many discoveries. Thyran healing techniques cured diseases that human doctors had struggled with for generations. Human farming methods, improved with alien knowledge, produced crops that could grow in the harsh environments of alien worlds. As months passed, Teho split his time between Earth and the Thyran homeworld. On Earth, he worked with governments and scientists to share alien knowledge safely and responsibly. Among the Thyrans, he learned their language, their history, and their advanced sciences. But most importantly, he learned that his ability to see beyond differences, to care for others regardless of who they were, was exactly what both species needed. The Thyrans respected his human compassion. Humans trusted him because he had never forgotten where he came from. Other alien species began to take notice. The peaceful relationship between humans and Thyrans attracted attention from across the galaxy. Delegations came to meet the young human who had become an alien elder, who served as a bridge between worlds. Each new species brought their own gifts and knowledge. Some had mastered the art of growing food in space. Others had developed ways to travel between stars without harming the environment. All of them were curious about the human capacity for empathy that had made this alliance possible. Teho found himself at the center of a growing network of friendship between species. What had started as one orphan helping one injured alien had become a movement that was changing the entire galaxy. But he never forgot that first day by the river, when he had made the choice to help someone in need despite his fear. In quiet moments, he would return to that same riverbank and remember how it all began. Elder Velmok often joined him there. The old alien had become more than just an adoptive father. He was a true friend and teacher. Together, they would watch the water flow and talk about the future. "Do you ever regret your choice?" Velmok asked one day. Teho thought about his old life. Lonely, poor, rejected by his own kind. Then he thought about his new life, surrounded by friends from a dozen different worlds, working to build understanding between species, helping to solve problems that had seemed impossible. "Never," he said. "Helping you was the best decision I ever made." "You did not just help me," Velmok said gently. "You helped all of us learn what it means to care for strangers. You showed us that kindness has no boundaries." Years later, when Teho had grown into a true leader, and Elder Velmok had passed peacefully into the next stage of existence, the bridge between worlds continued to grow stronger. The school Teho had founded became a university where beings from across the galaxy came to learn from each other. The village that had once rejected him became a center of interspecies cooperation. Children who grew up there thought nothing strange about having alien classmates or human teachers who had studied on distant worlds. And sometimes, when the river was high and the rain was falling, Teho would tell young students about the day he made a choice that changed everything. He would remind them that every person, no matter how small or forgotten they might feel, had the power to build bridges between worlds. All it took was the courage to help someone in need. The lesson was simple, but it had transformed the galaxy. When you save one life, you save the whole universe, because kindness once started never truly ends. It flows from person to person, from world to world, like water in a river that has no beginning and no end. And in that flow, Everyone could find their place, their purpose, and their home.